For a long time, C.S. Lewis has been one of my favorite writers that has moved my heart so much. Then it's curious that this great writer and philosopher writes a children's tale. I love that each one of the children go through a struggle but come out stronger than they ever thought possible. I'm Matt Logan, and I'm the director and designer of Studio Tenn's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm not a big fan of ultimate realism because I think when we see ultimate realism, we definitely feel wowed by it, but then in the next second, we're bored by it.
Often the simplest choice is the most magical choice. And that's what we have over film. Like, we don't have CGI. We just have to make the simplest choice to portray these things. And when you watch a bunch of creative people do that, it's magical. I'm Nat McIntyre, and I'm playing the lion Aslan in Studio Tenn's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. He is the hope. He is where people find the possibility of a future where there doesn't seem to be one. What I love about him is that he doesn't then say, great, I'll just bring it to you. He says, and here's how you take it for yourselves.
Every character is the hero of her own story. And so I'm really drawn to what it is that makes her tick, what it is that she wants, and why she feels entitled to it. I like exploring the gray. My name is Karen Sternberg, and I'm playing the White Witch in Studio Tenn's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
What I love about Karen is that she is trusting herself to be exquisitely minimal, and yet there is a power and a majesty to that minimalism. I think when it comes to the character of Aslan, the expectations from the written page are so through the roof, and there's no way to do that live. I mean, we can't train a lion to speak. We can't train a lion to come walk in the room with us. So we were left to, is it going to be a man in a suit, or is it going to be continuing the lines of imagination?
One of the things that we're trying to really walk a fine line with Aslan is realism versus poetry. So we really focused on the overall shape of Aslan and creating textures rather than ultra-realism. I'm Mitch White, Studio Tenn's technical director and master builder for Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Building Aslan was a challenge because it wasn't something that I had done before. When you see him, you'll see there's a lot of curvature to his body. In order to bend the bamboo in that fashion, we created a long trough, basically out of pieces of gutter, that we could soak the bamboo in for hours, days, even weeks if we needed to. Then we could bend it in place, attach it, and then we let it dry and it hardens in that shape.
So like inside a puppet, the stuff that makes you uncomfortable, instead of fighting and trying to bend the puppet to you, the more that you can let it be uncomfortable for a little while and see if you can meld to the puppet, that's where you find the two of you together. I think it's a lot like character work in that respect.
I really wanted something that felt fresh and new, and that's something we've explored through movement with Anna Claire that has been some of the most exciting discoveries. I wanted all of our animals that don't really speak that often to have a language through movement, and we explore that in a piece that we call Welcome to Narnia, where we get to meet the animals for the first time.
Matt Logan's costumes are magnificent always. I'm off to the side doing my work internally to fill out the inside of the character, and then I add Matt Logan's brilliance to the outside of it, and it's sort of a meet in the middle of hopefully a whole and a wholly realized character.
I think anytime that you work with a piece that scares you, you want the best people with you. And this is definitely was a piece that scared me a little bit because we're only as good as our interpretation. And I wanted great interpreters, and that's what we have. The young actors in our show are pros. We have worked with them so many times already, and it was something we knew we could trust.
I'm Bella Higginbotham. I'm playing Lucy Pevensie.
I'm Gus O'Brien. I'm playing Edmund Pevensie.
My name is Morgan Davis. I'm playing Susan Pevensie.
My name is Joe Lightis, and I'm playing Peter Pevensie in Studio Tenn's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Morgan and Joe are just perfect in this show. We spent a long time looking for the right element, that right magic. When we were casting it, I really wanted to find people that had the BBC in their head and wonder in their heart.
We both have a background in Shakespeare, which does help in the sense that with Shakespeare, you never take a line for granted. It's different, however, because the language isn't as meaty, and there's different focuses with this particular process. It's more about physicality, it's more about a world. It's how do we get from point A to point B in the most interesting, creative, way possible.
I think we all kind of have different ways of relating to our characters. He feels sometimes that he doesn't really get paid attention to as much as some of the other people in his family. He doesn't know what's happening to his parents, and he doesn't like other people kind of trying to be them.
She's really brave, and I feel like I'm really brave. And she's very adventurous, and she is very caring for Mr. Tumnus.
Peter is at basically the crossroads of when he stops being cared for and starts caring for people. He becomes a caregiver.
I found on the first day of rehearsals, I already felt that sort of big sister instinct to Bella and Gus.
We've all really bonded a lot over the process, and everyone's really nice and really kind.
Even without all the fantastical things that we end up coming across, I find the most interesting and really beautiful parts are like when we're all just hanging out, whether it's in the house, the professor's house in the country, or when we first go into Narnia.
When I was really little, my mom used to read the book to me, and I kind of completely forgot it, so I'm reading it again now.
I read the books with my dad when I was a kid, and he would play all the different voices, and it was such a fun bond between my dad and me.
I never read the books growing up. I actually asked my parents about this when I was cast. I said, I don't have any recall of this. Did you ever read this? And it turns out they didn't. So what's really exciting for me right now is that I am reading the books with my 7-year-old son. And so we are discovering Narnia together. And it's just delightful.
The set for Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is unique in a few ways. Maybe the biggest way is just the scope of it. It's by far the biggest thing we've ever done in Jamison. When you walk into the venue, you will see it scraping the ceiling. The doors are also enormous, so nature actually can sort of enter into the house, and that's when Narnia becomes alive. It's really gratifying to be able to work with Matt as a designer and execute his plans from a drawing into reality.
This is a great story. First and foremost, I think Studio Tenn is a storytelling theater company. And the way that Studio Tenn tells stories is just beautiful. And so you come thinking, oh yes, I know the Chronicles of Narnia. I love The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But this is going to tell you the story in a way that you have never seen before and will never be able to forget.
When I whittle this show down to a few basic elements, the things that stand out are possibilities and redemption. To realize that mistakes can be made and somehow we can redeem that seems beyond reason. The whole story revolves around redemption, but even more, it has this wink of possibilities.
Narnia really seems like a place where if there are fears or issues or whatever, you can actually confront them with bravery and courage and kindness. And when we meet the Pevensies, they're fleeing the bombing of Britain, and in a place where they don't really have much power and ability to deal with the scary things in the world. And what the lovely thing about Narnia is that they can blossom and rise up and actually conquer fears and stand up for what's good and right. And so in that case, Narnia sounds pretty good to me.